You have to position the products such that if the CPA had knowledge of these products, that CPA could add value to their client base. Because they're not interested in helping Wells Fargo sell more product. They're interested in adding value to their client base. There's a lot of things that are going on in their industry today that we need to be aware of. The first is there's a lot of off-the-shelf software programs available for tax service and financial statement preparation. Their small business clients are using these packages. That's decreasing or diminishing the billable hours that they can bill out. Second thing is some of the tax preparation firms like H&R Block are moving upscale, trying to do more complicated income tax preparation, which is taking some of their clients away as well. So the crunch on the CPA firm today is to continue at the same billable rate as they have in the past to keep their business at the same level. And in a perfect world, they'd like to grow their business, which is even more difficult given the onslaught of competitors they're up against. So CPA firms today are looking for ways to add value to their client base beyond the traditional tax preparation or financial statement preparation. Some of our products allow them to do that. Let me give you 4 examples. The first one in California, and I recognize this is not available in all states, at least currently, is a loan program we call California Capital Access. I won't get into the specifics of that because some of you won't have that program available to you, but the fact is that CalCap finances companies that don't have all the same underwriting requirements that we do in our traditional lending products. And so I asked the CPA if they have a customer that's been declined elsewhere, would they like me to take a look at it to see if I might be able to underwrite it under the California Capital Access Program? This makes the CPA a real hero in the eyes of their client, and that it's been declined by another bank. The CPA calls Wells Fargo, we do the loan. The customer thinks that the CPA has just hit a home run. So they're very excited about that. The second product that I talk about is the 15-year fixed real estate loan. Many of our competitors, and I found this particularly true in a lot of the states in the western U.S., do not have 15-year fully amortized fixed rate real estate loans. They all have call dates of 5 or 10 years. And every time that loan comes up for renewal, there's some more loan fees involved, there's more negotiation. There's a lot of time that small business person has to take away from their business in order to refinance their real estate again. If you look out, if you go up to the 10th floor of your office building or an office building in your town, and you look out over the marketplace, somewhere out there is a loan that has a call date for tomorrow or next month or next week. We need to be in front of those opportunities. The CPAs know where those opportunities are because they're preparing the financial statements to present to a lender in order to refinance on that call date. And the fact that we can offer a 15-year fully amortized is a benefit to the small business person since they never again have to refinance. The third product I'd like to talk about is the 7A, SBA 7A financing. Many companies, when they get that financing, needed that to begin with, and all the restrictions that went with it. Now, if we're talking about a 90% type loan-to-value against some real estate, the SBA probably also took some additional collateral, such as deeds of trust and personal residence, UCC filings, maybe key man insurance. And this firm has been burdened with some of these complexities for X number of years. Might only be a few years, might be more than that. And we need to find out if the CPA has some knowledge of some customers who are still sort of saddled with those complexities. Meanwhile, the business has performed, the earnings have been good. If they were to refinance that SBA 7A debt today, they could probably free up those restrictions, and that would be, and perhaps even lower the interest rate, and that would be very convenient for the small business. The last product is the sweep account. As we know, there are some small businesses that essentially have no cash at all and need to borrow money, and then at the opposite end of that spectrum is the cash cow, the firm that's been around a long time. Certain times of the year, certain times of the month, whatever the case might be, the way the timing of their cash flows, they have excess cash. And what they do today, of course, is that they invest that excess cash into CDs, market rate accounts, some type of an account that they have to move the money themselves. And what happens is the money doesn't always get moved, and or they have to guess the timing of when their checks will clear, when they need to disperse loan proceeds, and etc. The sweep account does that automatically for them, and by doing that, not only might it pay a higher yield than, higher dividend, I should say, than the yield that they're getting on the deposit account that they have, but the fact that it moves it quicker increases the actual dollars that they receive. So many times, if we do the analysis side by side, we can say to a small business, if I could increase your bottom line by 1 or 2%, is that something that would be of value to you? And typically, that is, in fact, the case, and that the CPA does have cash cow clients that they can refer to us. Okay, there's three other issues I want to talk about today that I've learned through my experience. The first is when you're talking to the CPA about the products, they often will say something about, oh, gee, do you have some information on this that you could leave with me? I would tell you that's a mistake to leave that information. What your goal is to develop a relationship with that CPA. And the way you develop a relationship with somebody is to see them more often. And if you see them once and then leave for 3 months or 2 months or whatever, it's not the same as seeing them twice within 1 week. So I purposefully go to the CPA office with no information to leave. And I'm hoping in the course of the interview that they will ask me, do I have any information on the sweep account, on the real estate, on any of the products we may be talking about. And if they don't ask, I will ask them, would you like some information on this product? And I've not had anybody yet say no. It's just too easy to say yes. In which case I say, I'd like to swing by. I'd like to come by then next week, and I'll drop some off. I'll give you a call ahead of time. And then, in fact, next week I will call them, say on a Tuesday, say, I've got that information on our sweep account. I'd like to come by and leave it. I'd like to have 5 minutes of your time if I could. I promise it won't be more when I come by. Is there a good time, next, say, day after tomorrow that would be good for you? When you tell them 5 minutes, it's very difficult for them to say no. As a matter of fact, I can't think of anyone who ever did. And be true to your word. Do only spend 5 minutes, but it's one more opportunity to be back in front of them with your business card and your face and yourself. One of the things that we've invested in, some divisions have them, some don't, is a business card laminating machine. And in the first visit, we take 2 of their business cards back to the office with us. We laminate them into luggage tags. When I come back on the second visit with this information, I bring the laminated business cards with me. It's a little bit of a surprise. Usually piques their interest. And it's something that we didn't talk about on the phone, so it was unexpected, and it's sort of a nice added value to them. Besides the fact of leave-behinds, I want to introduce 2 more concepts to you. I want you to think about share a firm. You go visit Smith, Jones, and Dudley, and you visit Mr. Smith, and you say to yourself, or you think to yourself, gee, I know that CPA firm. But the fact is that you really only met one of the 3 partners. The other 2 partners know nothing about Wells Fargo Bank. So at best case, in that scenario, you've got 33% of the firm that understands Wells Fargo and might give us a lead. And that's not a very large percentage in terms of what we'd like to have. So when you start thinking about share a firm, and your goal should be 100% of the firm. So in your first visit, if you're unable to meet with any of the other partners, when you're finished, you might conclude by saying, now, is some of this of interest to you? And again, my experience has been, for the most time, they will say yes. Would it be okay if I called your partners and had a similar meeting with you, with them? And could you help me? And I've actually had that partner set up the meeting for the other partners. So we always want to shoot for 100% share of firm. We want to see everybody in that firm And it's not limited to partners. It can be managers, it can be other CPAs.